Welcome, Joya, to the IHP Health Coach Success Podcast. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you, Kate. I am thrilled to be here. This is like a dream come true. I've been telling all my friends this podcast is in like my top 5 for 2023. So this is an honor to be here, honestly. So thank you. And thank you to the listeners. I hope that listening to my stories is inspiring and valuable today.
That's amazing. That's so cool to hear we're in the top 5. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
This podcast really helped me decide which direction to go in terms of becoming a health coach and coming on with IHP.
I love that.
So it's very full circle.
So tell us a little bit more about yourself and your story and kind of what brought you to IHP.
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the standard background things about me, I am currently a full-time professor at my local university. I work as a speech language pathologist. So I basically teach graduate students how to be a speech language pathologist. And that's what I would call like my normal life. I'm also a single mom. I have one daughter who's 10 years old. I've got pets. I'm active in church. And again, that's like the normal life. But why am I here? So my life has taken a little bit different of a turn than I thought it would. And in a nutshell, I am a 2-time cancer survivor turned health coach.
Yeah, it's so amazing. And I've been so excited for this call because you have such a powerful message that we need to get out to the world. Such a powerful message because you went through both conventional and through integrative health on your cancer journey. So I'd love for you to tell me more of that story. How long have you been in it? How did that kind of progress to where you are now?
Absolutely, yes. Let me just jump right in here and get to the nitty gritty. So, in my younger 30s, I was diagnosed with aggressive breast cancer, and it was definitely the kind, like the scary story of, this is really fast growing. It's widespread throughout the breast. We definitely have to do mastectomy. We need to get you in chemotherapy right away. There's no time, rush, 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 fear, fear, fear. And I did. I, of course, did everything the doctors told me to do. I didn't know really anything about holistic health or anything like that back then. Even if I had, I'm not sure if I would have changed the course of my treatment because it was such a dire circumstance. But I underwent a lot through that process in the Western medical world. Chemotherapy, if you know of anybody that has ever had it, or if the listener has had it or going through it right now, it's not tough for everybody, but it was really tough for me. So the whole like classic, you lose your hair. These days they give you steroids. So instead of losing a lot of weight, you gain a lot of weight in a lot of cases with breast cancer. So my physical identity changed a lot. A lot of my identity was wrapped up in being a mom, and I was too sick to really take care of my daughter, and being a speech therapist, and I could no longer work. Like I was out of work for maybe 8 months, and then I had to return part-time. It was so tough. During this time in my life as well, I got a divorce. So it was really rock bottom for me. However, it worked. I was declared what they call no evidence of disease. They don't really say, they'll sometimes say cure, like our goal is to cure you, but no evidence of disease, because I think they know that, everyone has cancer all the time. And that's not something that's really known about, but no evidence of disease is what they call it. So here I am, at 35, I think, single for the first time, look really different, trying to just kind of pick up the pieces of my life and move forward. And I don't think I did everything the right way for sure. So I had a lot of shame, a lot of just PTSD, honestly, from the whole rock bottom experience. And instead of really trying to like cope in a healthy way or process through emotions or like take back my health, I pretty much did the opposite. I very consciously made a decision to basically just stuff it all down. Just stuff it all down. I was like, I am not going to be that person that is a proud breast cancer survivor. That is not my identity. I am me. I am not cancer. I am moving on. And that's just not going to be my story. And to be honest with you, I'm sure there are many people who know me right now that don't even know that I ever even had cancer, because I was just so quiet about it on social media. I had a private Facebook group. I had, my close people supporting me, but it was something that I was just gonna move on from. Even though my hair is like really short, like I was determined to move past it. And what I would say, quote unquote, get back to normal life. And so life went on. Basically 6 years go by. And in that time period, again, there's no me dealing with trauma or emotions. There's some drinking, some self-medicating, also workaholic medication, definitely dove into my career and used that kind of as like an outlet, and which it worked. I got lots of promotions and I'm a professor today. And, a lot of it was because of my hard work. However, looking back, I could have done things a lot differently. 2020 was also combined in this time period. And that was just a lot of stress, no sleeping, poor eating, and a lot of drinking, to be honest. So the other thing that was happening in this 6-year time frame was that I would go and see my doctor every year, at least 2 doctors. I would check in with every single year and have these little scans, and everyone's like, you're fine, you're fine. So I'd get very quick little appointments. Basically, to summarize it, it was like, how's that pill working for you? Okay, good to see you. How's your family? Good to see you. Bye. And I'll talk more about my oncologist. I love him. He did a lot of things right. But one of my main messages is just to get information out there that the system as a whole is really flawed. Like, there was no education about prevention or anything holistically minded that was given to me. It could have just, Kate, been as simple as a handout, like a pamphlet, like, here's a brochure, don't forget to do these things, like get sleep, avoid alcohol. Honestly, I didn't know it then, but now I know women that have had breast cancer should have 0 alcohol. Eat broccoli, like really anything. It could have been anything, but there was just such missed opportunities there. Now, again, I didn't really know much about integrative or holistic health, so I don't even know if I would have caught on to it if it had been there, but at least it would have been something. So 6 years later, I get diagnosed with the same exact cancer in the same exact breast. And people are like, after a mastectomy, you can do that? It can come back? Yes, it can. And this is another kind of issue with how things go in conventional medicine. There's a lot of statistics that are thrown around, and statistics can be used in multiple ways. I'm a pathologist myself, I know. But I was always told less than 3% chance that this has come back, less than 5%, you're fine, you're going to be fine. Well, the statistics literally never applied to me. And, if you're going through it right now, if you know somebody going through it, yes, we have to have statistics. Of course, these things are important, but your body is your own. Like, you have one body, you have your own genes, you have your own DNA, and you're your own person. So I was like horrified, like really terrified when I got that second diagnosis, because at that time, the only narrative I had ever heard of was it comes back and you die. It still like brings me back to that place. Sorry. You see the movies, you read the books, and it's like the poor mother's breast cancer returned, and then she's off the show, basically. And, I don't want to laugh because I know people that's happened to as well. So I'm like, whoa, I'm gonna die. And it was just such a mind-boggling experience, because in my gut, I'm like, no, that doesn't feel right. That doesn't resonate with me. my time is not up. I'm not ready. And I just knew it wasn't, deep down, I knew it wasn't time. Now, what happened next is where the story really gets good. So I get re-diagnosed and try to tell these like in different timelines so it makes sense. But I get re-diagnosed. I go back to my oncologist and he's like, okay, we're going to pull out all the stops now. We're going to do a different chemotherapy. It's going to be harder than the first one. And you're going to do this immunotherapy. And this time you have to do radiation because you just have to do everything because it's come back. There's no really like standard of care when it comes back. We just do everything. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, just shocked. Like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do chemotherapy again. Like I knew that in my gut, but I wasn't going to say no. I'm like trying to work myself up to doing this. And going back to, I'm a university professor, I'm a 10-month employee. When I got diagnosed the second time, it was in March. So I'm telling my medical team, like, look, if we can just wait till the summer, I will be off work. That would be better for me to do chemotherapy and do like the hard stuff in the summer. And literally, like, I don't know, Kate, by the grace of God, my oncologist came up with a plan that he proposed to me and I went for it. So he called me one day and was like, okay, listen, we can try this and you can go and get a different opinion if you want. There's no standard of care here, but we can try starting you on immunotherapy first. You're going to go on this immunotherapy anyway. So we can try this. We can try you on immunotherapy first to buy some time and get to the summer. At that point, we want you to have surgeries and then do chemo. With the thought process of hoping that the immunotherapy would help shrink the tumors enough to have surgery first and then do chemotherapy. So I was like, yes, because I didn't want to do chemotherapy at all. So I was like, okay, yes, let's do that. Again, I'm like in the mindset of we'll do chemotherapy later. Okay, now at the same time that I got diagnosed the second time, things were going off like gut instinct things that were leading me down the trail to look into holistic measures of treatment. And luckily, about a year before, I had been exposed to a few functional medicine doctors on podcasts. I really didn't know what functional medicine was at the time, but I started listening and just getting some more information. So somewhere inside, I knew like, there's more out there that people aren't telling me. And the other big feeling that I got was, you got to do something this time, girl. Like this is, you have to do your part. You trusted them. You trusted this process. It worked, you thought, but you can't just put your trust in all of these people and just hope for the best. So I'm telling my providers, I'm like, I'm going to change my diet. I'm going to detox. I went down multiple hours of rabbit holes of anti-cancer diets, anti-cancer lifestyle, holistic healing protocols, and started incorporating some things. So at the same time I start immunotherapy, I switch my diet. That's the first thing. So I changed over to a plant-based, whole food, organic diet. And, Kate, I know you're like the detox expert here. So I knew nothing about detox at this moment in time. I didn't know I was detoxing my body by switching my food around. It was horrible. I felt terrible for like 3 weeks. I'm like, this is what I'm going to do to live. So I will just feel terrible. I'm like, I guess vegetables just make you feel horrible all the time. But no, that terrible feeling did go away. Lots of interesting, scientific body experiments. It was a wild ride, but I really cleaned up the diet and really dove into just detoxification of everything in my life. Like as I learned more, I embedded more, getting rid of harsh chemicals in my house, my beauty products, my skincare routine, adding in more plants, just really everything in my environment, just taking a different look at it and thinking like, oh, well, I wonder if that can contribute to cancer. I didn't quite know exactly how to think about something like the rain barrel effect or the toxic load burden, but things were starting to come together for me. And I just kept doing more and more and more to support my health. The mind is such a key player too here in a journey like this, and really everyone's journey. The mind, I think, is the most powerful thing. So I did lots of meditation, deep spiritual prayers. That was for my soul. I did a lot of journaling. I went back and tried to think of all the people that I needed to forgive, and just purged bitterness and anger and resentment out onto my journal. Yeah, it was powerful. It was, man, it was such a neat time, but I was also still really scared. And I kept going. I kept doing it. So 4 months of this is happening. I'm taking the immunotherapy. I'm changing my whole life, and I'm feeling tumors shrinking. And essentially, I get to the summer when I'm off work. We do an MRI where there had been 2 tumors before. It was completely clear. And so I go to my surgeon. I'm like, what are we doing? And like, what's happening? This is great. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is great. This is really great. But, we still want to do surgery. There's still probably something there left over that MRI didn't pick up. So, you're a young woman. We're not going to play around. So we did the surgery, and they had put some metal tags in where the tumors were in the original biopsy. So they knew exactly where to go and take something out, because they took some stuff out and they biopsied it, and it was completely gone, like complete pathological response.
Wow, I've got chills just hearing that. You have the most incredible story. And I hope with everyone listening, that just gave you so much hope.
Yeah.
Because we all know someone who has cancer. We are all afraid of cancer. Maybe you have someone who's just been diagnosed, or someone who's gone through it and is maybe in remission and thinking that it's not going to come back. And the fact that you went through this, tried conventional medicine, and it came back, because again, they don't tell you how to prevent it coming back in the future. They don't give you any information. And my father just went through that as well. Luckily, he had me there to help him repair his cells and fix his lifestyle and stuff after he did the chemo and the radiation, because that is creating so much toxicity in the body as it is, and so if you're putting all these chemicals into your body to kill the cancer, it's causing more toxicity and more cell damage. But he went through the standard medical care, and they didn't provide him anything. And, the fact that you had this oncologist who kind of opened the door to this additional option, God, it's such an incredible thing, and kind of, again, opened you to these other ways of looking at it. And, it just gives me chills, because I know so many people right now who need to listen to this, to listen to the fact that it took 4 months to turn around and completely get rid of cancer. And the fact that it can actually come back after you've had a mastectomy, that's definitely not something you hear. That is not something they tell you. They don't tell you, the rates of how often cancer comes back, and how do we know if it's actually accurate. And, if they're not going to provide these tips on prevention, it's much more likely to come back. And unless you remove the toxins from your life, unless you support your body at the foundational level, because, as we know, cancer is a lot about cells. So if you're not supporting your cells and providing your cells the building blocks to stay healthy, then those cancer cells that we all have, and this is something you mentioned at the very beginning, that is so fascinating. I read this in a book years ago, that we all have something like 10,000 cancer cells developing in our body every day. And I could be wrong on that number, but whether the cancer develops has a lot to do with the environment and your lifestyle and the foods you're putting in your body. So whether it, grows and becomes something that needs to be addressed has so much to do with, again, your lifestyle, your diet, the toxins, your environment, all of that. And so it's just so amazing. And I guess one of my questions to you is, after going through all this, after that 4-month period of going so deep in everything, what would be your biggest recommendations for someone who's just been diagnosed or knows someone who's just been diagnosed or has gone through chemo and wants to make sure that it doesn't come back? What would be your top couple recommendations that would be total game changers for them?
Yeah, I'll start with talking to that person who has just been diagnosed. So I know a lot of health coaches listen to this podcast. Feel free to share, because we do all know somebody. You're so right. And I love everything you just said. I totally agree. If you have been just diagnosed, just breathe. Okay. Just breathe. You do not have to rush into any decision. The cancer industry does make you feel like you are going to die if you don't get surgery next week or get your report in next week. You can take your time. You can slow the process down. This is your body. And I'm a huge advocate of talking about self-advocacy in the medical world. Now, my oncologist was really great. Like, he was always super open to any supplement. I did take a lot of supplements, my diet, I fasted, and he was like, yes. Okay. So also, if you're finding medical providers that are not open to certain things that you want to try, listen to your gut is what I would say. And I want to make sure to just speak the fact that I would never advise anyone to not do chemotherapy or to do chemotherapy. It's totally up to you. It's your choice of what to do. And there are great things that you can do Western, and there are great things that you can do holistic, and you can integrate both of those things, which is how I got lucky and I'm here today. But I would say, listen to your gut. You can slow the process down. The time period of getting diagnosed, going through all the evaluations is so hard emotionally. It's terrifying. Absolutely. Once you set your mind to a treatment plan, you make that decision, you tell everybody what your treatment plan is going to be. It does get a little bit better emotionally there, because that's when you're like, okay, I'm going to do this. Like, let's go, like, get your positive mindset going. Because another huge message of mine to the masses of people is, whatever you do, you have to put your whole heart, your whole mind, your body, and your spirit. You have to just believe it's going to work. You have to put everything into whatever decision you make. It's up to you to make the decision. But once you do, don't let those negative thoughts overtake. Don't don't go down a spiral. Keep your vibrations high. Keep your positive mindset. Only keep people that are around you that are positive. Don't watch bad things on TV. Just keep a really positive mindset and be really strong. So that's what I would tell somebody who's just been diagnosed. And I do get a lot of women reaching out to me on my social media, and that's my general advice. Now, for the ladies or the men who have gone through it and they're kind of, in that recovery time period, then the journey never ends. Please learn from me and my mistakes. This is a part of you now. You now know you are sensitive to cancer. I am too. It's okay. I feel so empowered, Kate, now, of course, having had that experience, but even just going through IHP, IHP's motto is a health coach in every home. And I'm like, that's me. I'm the health coach in my home, So go into the education, get a health coach, or just, get a support group, but do something, find that education that can guide you to living a healthy lifestyle holistically. Mind, body, and soul are all equally important. I tend to say, I don't know which one's most important, but I really, really feel mindset is a huge factor. So counseling is great, as well as nutrition, sleep, hydration, etc.
Yeah, I think that's so important. The mindset, but also keeping supportive people around you. And obviously, doing the lifestyle things like the diet, removing the toxicity, which obviously is just putting more stress on your cells and your liver and your body.
Yeah.
And, I obviously haven't had cancer, and I am doing everything I can to prevent it. But from a support side, as health coaches, one of the things that was so pivotal for my dad. So he went through cancer several years ago, and it was in lots of places in his body. And he called me, and he was terrified to tell me. He was terrified to tell me because he knew it would break my heart.
Yep.
He called me, and the first thing I said to him was, you know what? I've been preparing for this my entire life, and I've got you. I will be there for you. I will do everything in my power to support you with everything that I know as a health coach and on my personal journey to help you make it through chemo, because he knew he was going to do chemo and radiation, and he was afraid to tell me because he knew I believed in the holistic side of things. And he was worried that I wouldn't agree with it. And it was so important. I mean, he told me a year later that was the number one thing that helped him mentally and spiritually deal with the chemo and the treatment and doing it after, was that I told him, I've got you, and I'm supporting you on your decision, and I'm going to do everything in my power behind the scenes. I'm going to help you make decisions on food. I'm going to help you make decisions on supplements to support him as he went through the chemo, as he went through radiation, after he was done. And so I just want to put that out there, because it's one of the scariest things when your parent or your friend or your sibling comes to you and says, I just got diagnosed. But you have more tools as a health coach than almost anyone out there, because you understand the foundations of supporting the body and supporting the mind and supporting the emotions. And being that support person is the absolute best thing you can do for them. So I just wanted to put that out there, because I've had several people come to me recently with, this person just got diagnosed. I am freaking out. What do I do? And that was what I told them, is just tell the person you're there to support them. And, don't try and push them just down the natural route. Like you mentioned, it's so much about being behind them on their decision and doing what we can on the back end to support. So I love all those recommendations. And I think all of it is just so powerful for people. And was there anything specific other than what you just mentioned that you will continue to do forever to kind of prevent it from coming back?
Yes. And oh my gosh, that story, sorry, it's just so powerful. Like I had no idea, and I love it so much. And it just goes to kind of where I'm at in my health coaching journey, is you got to meet people where they're at, and you can provide that education, but we're not here to judge. Like I am not the judge. I am not the jury of your body. I am here to support the people that I work with. So in terms of me, and, going forward, living holistically healthy, I have not drank since then. I don't drink at all. And I may have a drink or two, but I don't plan on picking it back up. That's the habit that I've kicked for sure. I do continue to eat primarily plant-based. Again, this is an individual decision, but, and I'm not fully vegan. I do eat some animal product, but I try to focus on micronutrients, anti-cancer foods in my day-to-day. I really treat food as medicine. So I'm like, let me take my medicine. Even if it doesn't taste that great, I'm going to drink this green juice down or whatever. So I know a lot about that kind of stuff, supplements, hydration, really just foundational things that we learn in IHP, rest, emotional balancing. I am in counseling, dealing with stuff now. It's been great. Oh my gosh, I've leveled up so much. Definitely detoxification. I love thinking about detoxing constantly. Like it's always on my mind, just starting your day with a little lemon juice. And I'll definitely be practicing the quarterly detoxes every year from here on out. I did when I got off treatment, I did start with a 3-week. It wasn't the Dr. Cabral detox. It was something different I found, but I was like that. I was like, let me get this stuff out of my body. I've had multiple surgeries, multiple infusions. I'm ready to start anew and rebuild. So detoxification processes for sure. And then, just leaning into my spirituality. I'm a very spiritual person. I'm a Christian. I love deep prayer. I love meditation, visualization, and that can be, I think, again, I keep going back to the mind. That to me is almost the harder work than eating healthy foods and doing your exercises. I exercise, I do strength training and saunas. And I mean, I can literally go on and on about all of these things, but right now I am trying to focus on just calming down my mind. I'm a busy person. I'm a go-getter, and sometimes I can get a little ahead of myself and just trying to rest and relax and have that balance of doing and just being at the same time. And
Yeah,
then
I
I
think
will say, becoming a health coach has been so amazing. It's been really helpful for me to take this on as my identity. I'm a cancer survivor. I'm a two-time cancer survivor. I'm telling everybody these stories now proudly, and in just being my authentic self. It just feels so good. And helping other people, helping other people talk about things that I have been through it's just given me so much purpose in life, and it feels amazing. So if you're out there, you don't know exactly what your purpose is in life, I would just want to say, inspire you to try to think about that. And if you've been through some pain, you can find purpose through pain for sure.
that's such an that's such an important message because, when you mentioned at the beginning of your story, you didn't identify as having cancer. You kind of hid, you weren't very vocal about it. And a lot of people do that, or they hugely self-identify. Oh, I have Lyme disease, I have cancer, that's all I am. And that can be kind of detrimental because then you're not focusing on the other stuff and you're not allowing yourself to find balance. And so both your mental and physical health will suffer if you go so hard with that identity. But at the same time, as you have come through it, you are able to tell your story. And I think that's one of the most powerful things we all have. Our stories and our personal experience can change millions of lives. You with your amazing cancer stories, me with my 27-year Lyme and chronic illness stories that I have hundreds of them. If you're willing to tell your story, you can literally change hundreds, if not millions of lives. And that story gives people hope. You give people hope, which allows them to be motivated and see the light at the end of the tunnel. Every person who hears your story will tell someone they know that is potentially going through the same thing. And it's going to have this just compounding and trickle down effect that can just change, like I said, millions of lives. And so for everyone out there, every health coach, everyone who's listening, identifying from your past the stories that can have an impact is one of the first things I tell people when they're trying to become a health coach or start a business or anything in life, is identifying the big picture stories, but also the micro stories. Out of everything you just told me, there's probably 50 things in there, and you probably have hundreds more that are all micro stories that could have a positive impact on people's lives. And so if you learn to structure and tell those stories, again, you're just going to keep connecting and keep helping people. And that's really what it's all about, is the purpose. Is once you've gone through pain, once you've gone through something like you've gone through and I've gone through, your purpose tends to be to help other people prevent what you went through.
Yes.
I realized 5-10 years ago that my goal in life was to help people avoid the pain that I went through even before I turned 18. I was in so much pain for 15 years of my life, so much pain, 24 hours a day. I will do anything to help people prevent that. And I'm guessing that's what you are feeling too. And so that becomes your purpose. And then it's not even work. Spreading your message, coaching people, it doesn't feel like work. It feels every morning you wake up so excited to talk to people and tell the story over and over and over. And again, that's where the real impact happens. So that kind of brings me to my next thing. Are you doing health coaching now? And do you plan on focusing on helping people who have cancer, people who maybe have had in the past? What do you see yourself doing?
Yeah, great question. I am a self-described baby health coach. Like all of this is so new to me. I have completed IHP level 1, and I do have a few ladies that I coach. It's wonderful. It's great. They're seeing results and success, and it's really exciting. So I am like a week and a half away from finishing up level 2. I really have loved the process. I have enjoyed the process, like Dr. Cabral says in level 1 a lot, like trust the enjoy the process, enjoy. And I'm like, I love this process. This is great. So I've really enjoyed it. And I definitely chose IHP because of the lab components. I'm in my own health journey. I'm going through some lab work. I'm going to do a heavy metal detox in January because of my labs. And I want to literally help everybody. So you and I had this discussion the other day of like the whole, like, should you have a niche? Everyone says I should have a niche. And, since we had that talk the other day of who to help, like what to specialize in, I just took a step back and thinking like, well, this is why I'm here. I am more qualified than other people to talk to somebody who wants to recover from treatment or just needs that support through treatment or wants to prevent a future occurrence or reoccurrence. So I do feel aligned to, work with the cancer community. And not only will it will like align with me, it will also help me stay accountable to myself and my own health and my own body.
I love that. And you're right. You have a very unique ability to help that group of people. And, we all can support people with foundations, but you've gone through it mentally and physically. And a lot of the times people, especially specifically with cancer, some of these chronic conditions, they want to know that you've experienced what they've experienced and you've come out the other side. So with things specifically like this, it's a really powerful niche because there's never going to be, unfortunately, there's never going to be a limit to the amount of people you can help in this community. Cancer is just so prevalent and it's getting more and more prevalent every day. And so, yes, you want to help everybody, but you can help more the people who you have experience through the same thing they're going through. So it is a really, really powerful niche. And that's so cool that you're just starting on your health coaching journey. And I'm no doubt after listening to this episode, you're going to have people reaching out to you. And we'll get to that in a second. But okay. I was just thinking, like you said, you want to help everybody. You want to reach everybody. If you could put together one really powerful message, if you could reach millions of people with this message, what would it be?
Yeah, I already know, like off the top of my head, I know exactly what I want to say to this is it may sound a little harsh, but it's just the truth. My message is your body is your responsibility. Your body is your responsibility. Your body is your responsibility. And don't do what I did and just think like, okay, I'm going to go get this medicine. I'm going to go get this treatment and it's going to be all fine. And then I can go back and be normal. We all have to take responsibility for our health. And there's so many things, so many easy things that we can do to support our mind, body, soul health. So take control and be an active participant. This could look like, of course, making healthier dietary choices, but also advocating for yourself when you are facing a provider who's not listening to you. You're right about those micro stories. I have so many micro stories about things like this. Like the first time I was going through it, my insurance wouldn't pay for a wig, but I fought for it. I advocated, I wrote letters. And I mean, I have lots of stories like that. I got the wig, they paid for it, but you don't have to just put full trust. Like you do want to put full trust in your providers, but they know what they know. Like they've been taught what they've been taught. Most doctors are good people. My oncologist is a good person, but there is more out there to learn that unfortunately it's just not common knowledge. So take responsibility over your health and advocate for yourself and invest in yourself, be with yourself and take care of your body. No one will treat it the way that you treat it.
That is a message I wish everyone could hear. Yes. And I think that holds true for so many different things, but specifically when you're going through something like this, where it's very, everyone is so used to going down the Western medicine route and just taking the pills and not paying attention to the other things you can do to help yourself. So the self-advocacy part, I just absolutely love. And so for all those people who are going to be wondering how to get a hold of you and where they can learn more, where can they reach you?
Yes, I am most active on Instagram. I do have a website. Enjoyably Healthy is my program. Joya enjoyably healthy.com, enjoyablyhealthy.com. Instagram, it's enjoyably.healthy. And I'm not using Facebook yet, but starting a little bit of TikTok storytelling. I'm again really new to the game here in 2023. If you listen to this in 2026, I'll be a total pro. But it's been fun. It's really fun to start just creating content, and I'm really looking forward to finishing up level 2 and then investing that time and energy that I was training into building systems and processes. And I have a lot of ideas for a really neat cancer prevention protocol that I want to make into my signature program.
That's super exciting. I am super excited to see that when it comes out. And thank you so much again. I'm so happy I got to talk to you and that our community gets to listen to this. And hopefully this gets shared, because this is a message that everyone needs to hear. Mm-hmm. And thank you for everyone listening and tuning in. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe on YouTube or whatever podcast platform you're listening to. And again, thank you. This was such a joy and a pleasure. And I look forward to talking to you more.
Thank you, Kate.